Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's Modern Sales Pros conversation about video-first sales for a customer-first future, sponsored by the team at Hippo Video. Really excited about today's discussion. We have two wonderful panelists who are going to be sharing some great perspective. But before we jump in, they're also first-time panelists. And Karti and Mario, thank you for joining us. We have a tradition on Modern Sales Pros webinars. We always love to learn a little bit more about our guests before we jump into the content. You're great at that. We know that. We're going to have a good conversation. But what we love to learn from our panelists is a little bit more about them. So over the past 12 to 18 months, are there any new hobbies, skills, or tricks, or anything that you've picked up that you're really like, oh, I'm surprised that I got into that, or I learned this new thing and I'm really excited about it? We've had folks talk about baking sourdough bread. We had somebody tell us how to make your own canvas at home for painting. We've heard a lot from our panelists, so no pressure. But Mario, anything, skills, tricks, hobbies that you've picked up in the past 18 months or so?
Wow, I wish I could say I'm that exciting, but I'm not. The only thing that I picked up was learning how to put together and connect the Nintendo Switches for my 7 and my 11-year-old with all their friends. And that was a project in and of itself. Oh, wait, and I learned how to add on the Microsoft security for a child that's under 13 years old to protect their laptop and only allow them to do, whoa, sorry about that. Only allow them to do certain things at certain times. And that was a very long process. It was so complicated. It was not easy to be able to do. So I wish I could say I have something special, but I don't. That was all about the kids.
I have to tell you, as someone who knows someone who owns a Nintendo Switch, the software is way more complicated than it should be. And so, Mario, I can imagine that it felt like you were probably getting like a network engineering degree while you were going through that. Karti, same question. Anything new that you've picked up since the start of the pandemic here?
So two things I learned. One, of course, patience with kids around at your work office setup. So the patience actually grew 10x, I should say. The second thing is mental models. Of late, I've been reading Farnham Street and Shane Parrish's book and all. That's a good one to read. That helps you run the business in a very different perspective, understanding things. So that's been really helpful, mental models, I would say.
It's one of an old mentor of mine said, some of the best advice is really to think systems oriented, regardless of the business, whether you're running a fast food chain or a high growth SaaS business. Systems and mental models are all super, super helpful. I got to say, I'd love to chat about both of those topics in depth, but we got some other stuff to talk about here today. I'm excited to jump into this, folks. And for those of you who are maybe new to Modern Sales Pros, thank you for joining us. Everyone that's not a member will be invited to join afterwards. For those of you who aren't aware, Modern Sales Pros is the world's largest community for revenue leaders. Those are folks that are in sales management, sales and revenue operations, and the other related supporting disciplines. Our mission is to create an environment for community members to answer the questions they'd otherwise struggle to solve on their own and see around the corners that they may not know are coming up in their businesses or in their careers. We do that through a robust online discussion, through sponsored programs like what we're going to go through here today, and hopefully at some point in the future, our in-person events, which we're really, really excited about. Community is 22,000 members and growing strong. And for those of you who are joining us today that aren't members, you'll be invited to join afterwards. We certainly encourage you to do that. But as I mentioned at the outset, today's session wouldn't be possible without the sponsorship from the team at Hippo Video. I'm going to hand it over to Karti to say just a few words about Hippo. Karti?
Yes. So Hippo Video is an video customer experience platform that helps businesses leverage interactive videos in their sales and marketing functions, especially reaching out to prospects and customer engagement.
Exciting stuff. And our topic here today actually lines up very nicely with Modern Sales Pros Revenue Excellence Summit that we have coming up next month. The catchy title, the controversial title is "The Funnel is Dead." What we're really talking about over the 3 days that we have a number of different sessions, but all focused on really thinking customer in about how you're setting up, scaling, and building your go-to-market machinery, as opposed to function out, which many orgs do today. And as we're talking about with the team at Hippo and Mario today, it really is about thinking customer first in all things. Video, how you build your processes, and all that. Hopefully folks will be able to join us. But enough about Modern Sales Pros and Hippo. Let's meet our panelists here today. First, I'm handing it off to Karti to chat a little bit more and share his background and how he came to found Hippo Video.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. This is Karti Mariappan, CEO and co-founder of Hippo Video. So I was with Zoho for 16 years, building multiple products, taking it from scratch to multi-million-dollar revenue systems. Then in 2016, I quit Zoho and started Hippo Video. The main reason why we started Hippo as an organization is, as a founding said, we were a strong believer in video. We are really passionate about how videos are going to drive into B2B. Those times it was B2C driven videos, but we strongly believe B2B also the videos are going to be in every functional systems, not just in marketing, not just in sales, but across the system. So that drove us to build a very robust platform for these 3-4 years and taken this system into larger businesses or even into VSBs and SMBs as well. So it's been a quite exciting journey, and to see people adopt videos in larger set, especially with the post-COVID thing happening. So excited about it.
Exciting, and it's going to be great perspective from both Karti, and we've got Mario joining us as well. Mario, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, guys. I'm excited to be here with all of you guys as well. So in answer to your question, a little bit about my background and about Vingresso. First off, I am a 24-year veteran in sales. I started out at 19 years old working for a software company, doing then called telemarketing, now called SDR, BDR work. And I have ended up, my last stop in corporate sales was a VP of sales for a software collaboration company. Then accidentally, I started my own company, and fast forward now 5 years later, here we are. I took that company, merged it together with 4 other companies to form Vingresso. And Vingresso, who are we? Well, we are the largest digital sales training and technology company. We help sales leaders and teams like Juniper Networks, Proofpoint, and even the world's largest vanilla extract provider, Virginia Dare, to prospect better and sell more. So leveraging things like social and video, which we call the omni-channel, to really be able to connect and engage with buyers. And that's what we're going to spend some time talking about today, in how to do that, how to enable your teams, how to enable yourself to be able to help your teams really create more sales conversations and grow the sales pipeline.
I am really excited to hear this. And I want to know, for every answer, Mario, how the vanilla extract company does this too. You can't mention that and not warrant a follow-up. All right.
I love it. When that lead came through, I was like, huh.
Hey, it just goes to show you this is actually applicable beyond. Some folks think that video is a very forward-leaning concept. It's broadly applicable. Just 2 housekeeping notes before we jump into our content here today. First, this session is being recorded, as you all heard when you joined. That recording will be available up on the Modern Sales Pros YouTube channel on our post-event page. Hippo Video is going to be hosting it as well, so you're going to be able to watch this again. Secondly, please do use the Q&A panel for any questions you have. That enables us to make sure that we can keep the trains running on time. We can make this very efficient and effective. And if we don't get to everybody's question, either Karti or Mario or maybe somebody else will follow up with you afterwards. So with that, Mario, Karti, you ready to jump in?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right, so let's get started with this, and then I'll walk through what the agenda we're going to cover here today. First, we're going to talk about video. Like, hold on, what? There's a lot of data that both Karti and Mario have on this that they're going to share. We're going to talk a little bit more about how to be real in the videos that you're using. We're going to talk about how to actually get reps, right? AEs, CSMs, and SDRs comfortable doing this. And then finally, we'll talk about some scenarios that you can get started with, like today, with some of the video prospecting things that you're doing. So let's jump into this. And Mario, I'd love for you to rattle off. I mean, we had a great prep session on this where you're talking about the stats and a lot of the data that you bring to the table. Why don't you share a little bit about why this is actually like something that's worth paying attention to? It's not just a technology that exists over here.
Sure. Well, given the fact that we have leaders on the phone and on the Zoom session here, I think one of the things we need to be thinking about as leaders is how do we connect with our buyers the way the buyers want to connect? And how do we actually work with our buyers so that we can actually get them to be engaged with us? So a couple things to think about. If you think about today's cardinal attributes of the modern buyer, there are four main elements. And one of those four main elements is that they are video hungry. So reviewing them, they're socially engaged, they're digitally connected, they're mobile attached, and they're video hungry. How do we know that? Well, first off, everybody who's out there, whenever you need to learn how to do something, where do you usually go on the how-to? You probably got that right, YouTube, right? We go to YouTube to be able to look at that. Now, that's just anecdotal question here that doesn't provide evidence. But what does the evidence show us? Well, first, if you look at what is the second largest search engine in the world, it actually happens to be a social media site. It's called YouTube. And so if you look at that and then say, okay, but that's consumer, does it apply to business? Well, let's look at these stats. And that is, if you ask anybody in your marketing organization, your CMO all the way down, what are one of the top 5 marketing tactics you will be using this year and on into next year, as reported by thousands of marketers? Top 5, video, engagement through video. So wait a minute. So we know that YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world. We know that marketers are using video in both B2B and B2C. B2B and B2C. Then wait a minute, are our business executives that we're selling to, whether they be IT leaders, finance leaders, sales leaders, marketing leaders, whoever you sell to, are they watching videos? Well, the data don't lie, as I like to say. And that is essentially 59% of executives report watching at least one work-related video. And if you look at the data as well, roughly around 60% of executives would rather watch a short video than read text. Wow. So you think about all of this. Now you ask yourself whether you got an account executive, an account manager, customer success manager, whether you got an SDR, a BDR, a market development manager, and any other name twist out there that applies to people that are responsible for growing revenue. The question you have to ask yourself is, are my salespeople utilizing video and doing it the right way? And so that data is very powerful, because in today's buying world, every buyer wants to buy the way they want to buy. And some buyers, some of our customers, I know if I send an email to one executive, he will not respond to the email. But if I send a text message between 5:30 and 8:30 p.m. his time, guess what? He's responding to it. Other buyers want me to send a video because they want to be able to see face to face and have that conversation. While yet other buyers will not respond over any of those meetings, but use social as a way to engage. So our job has gotten a lot more complex, Richard, I think, in today's selling era, modern selling era, if you would, to be able to engage with buyers the way they want to be engaged with. And we now have to use every element in our arsenal, every arrow in the quiver, if you would, to engage with today's modern buyer.
It's a huge, I mean, it's such a multifaceted problem. I love the YouTube thing. Most folks don't think of that, and they're like, oh no, if I need to know how to do something, I'm on YouTube. I search how do I hang this TV thing. But Karti, you've got some interesting data as well on the impact that this has, right? It's not just like this is a cool idea, we should do it because it's cool tech and people are using it in the consumer world. But what are some of the results that you've seen from your research?
Yes. So before that, I would like to add on to what Mario said. That's a great composition of data and how the things have traversed. But one thing, based on our experience on dealing or talking to customers or prospects, one question that has gone away from 2019 to 2021 is, does video work? So we used to have a lot of questions from my prospects in 2019. They always had this question, does video work? But today they have already understood that videos is a way forward. Like and leading software organization did a recent study where they have picked up like the third largest spend on S&M, especially on the sales and marketing tools, is around videos and video trainings, right? So that's the kind of transition we are seeing in adopting videos. So videos is there already. Okay, it's no more a trend. It's already into your essential system of communication and engagement with your prospects. Now, what happens when you start using videos? So we have seen top customers of ours leading Fortune 500 organization where they were able to increase their booking meeting rates by 3x, or their velocity of sales closing like 2x, or their engagement rate, which was earlier like very, very below their nominal levels, have gone like 80% higher. So we are able to see a huge ROI in using videos for one simple reason, like what Mario said, people want to see people. People want to engage with people. Trust builds sales, right? So that's been the case we have been seeing in the last 1.5 years, transitioning very fast, like what Satya Nadella was telling recently, right? Whatever the digital transformation that was supposed to happen in 10 years, they're able to see that in just 12 to 18 months. So that's what I would like to quote here.
I think that's an awesome point there. And I think the other part on this too, just to echo what both Mario and Karti said, is like your buyer doesn't put their buyer hat on and put on their buyer shoes and walk over to their buyer laptop and all of a sudden stop being a normal person who's watching shows or consuming stuff on YouTube or anything like that. They're still that same person who's in their home life watching a YouTube video to figure out how to network two switches together, or watching something super entertaining on their phone. And they also want to meet with folks and get the perspective of not just a bunch of big block of text there. But this is solid stuff, gentlemen. So one thing I wanted to, oh, Mario, you can just unmute and chat, man. We're super cash like that here.
You were probably going to go on a roll there, and I didn't want to mess up your flow there. Back to Karti's point on engagement, and they've got some data because they've got the Hippo video platform, which is phenomenal. I want to highlight what some of the other sales engagement technology companies that are out there, like SalesLoft, Outreach, and Zant, have identified, of which Hippo Video has direct integration into these sales engagement technologies. Yes. And one of the studies that came out was from Zant in this particular space. And this is a great opportunity for audience engagement right here. So if you're listening in, don't multitask. Come back to the chat button here and just get ready to chat me the answer in 1 second when I ask this question. So here's a question, and that was Zant wanted to know, what was the level of engagement when sellers used 1 to 2 forms of media to be able to engage with the buyer? Call it the phone, call it email, call it whatever, any one of 1 to 2 items that a seller engaged with. So type it into the chat. What do you think the buyer level of engagement was? Anywhere between 10% to 100% of level of engagement when a seller used 1 to 2 forms of media to engage with the buyer. So we're getting some answers over here, and we're seeing, okay, we got someone says 30%. Thank you, Chrissy. 10% is another answer. All right, the answer is 10%. 10% of the audience or the buyers engaged back with the seller when they used 1 to 2 forms of media. Now, if you add on a third or a fourth, so let's say you're using phone and email, and now add on that third element, video and social, or just video or just social. So a third to a fourth element. Buyer engagement went up by 400%. 400%.
Yes.
Because now we're using a different medium. And you know what the beauty is behind video, especially with platforms like Hippo, is that you actually get to use 2 senses, not just one, to be able to engage with your potential buyer. And that is both visually, sight, and hearing at the same time. And you cannot do that through a text, an email-based message, and you can only use one through an audio-based message. So that number, as a sales leader sitting on this call right now, should be thinking about, okay, like the data that Karti and I have presented clearly shows that we should be thinking about how to leverage video. And the data also shows that if my sellers do it and do it right, then I can increase potentially anywhere between from the that percentage of 10% of buyers engaged to 40%. I can go somewhere in between there at a very minimum. And that's a pretty powerful story right there.
That's a staggering increase. It's funny too. We've had Zant on in the past, and they've talked a lot about that concept. So it's crazy to hear it as well. Again, echoed here. But let's jump into this. Let's take it. We've kind of set the stage here really well. We've kind of talked about, okay, we know we got to get folks rocking and rolling with video here. In short, how do we make videos that aren't bad? How do we actually make this something that's pretty interesting here? And I know that Karti, I'd love for you to get started to talk us through kind of this concept. I think it's pretty catchy here. We'll get the slides back up in just a second so we can kind of go through it with folks as we're going. As we're doing this, we actually got a live question that comes in, and I want to start with Mario for this one, because kind of talking about this multi-channel, which platform is most effective to send prospects to? Should we send it, video to prospects? Should it be via email? Should it be via LinkedIn? Should it be something else? Where are you seeing success with?
The answer is one word. Yes. That's the answer. That's no joke. First off, one of the things that we teach when we take on a client, and we do the digital sales training program, which includes video. So our sales video mastery course that we have, video sales mastery, excuse me, utilizes the technology. Most providers and vendors are training on the very specific use case of where to click and how to click. What we're teaching on is the skill and how to engage your buyer. So there are use cases, as an example. Whenever you connect with a buyer on LinkedIn, we should have, for our sellers, predefined messaging for that particular buyer that they can utilize as a welcome video message on LinkedIn. And you know what's really cool is when you add that link into the messaging or the chat. What's really cool is you get to get that cool Giphy image that you see your face and your hand waving at them, or you see a board that says "Hi, John," or you have the video automatically adds on their first name directly into the video as a result of targeting who you're going after. Very cool, very sexy. On email, absolutely on email, you should utilize that. And there is a methodology, and we can talk into how much content should you send that introduces your video? How many sentences should that be? There's a science behind that. How long should that video be? There's a science behind that. What should you say in that opening paragraph or sentences to be able to get them to click on that video? There's a science behind that. And you should also be using video through text messaging as well. So if you're doing one-to-one text messaging as a seller, you better believe that video is extremely powerful. And having, again, that same type of thumbnail pop up on your text message to a prospect, 100%, they're going to click on that. Why? Because most sellers don't use LinkedIn as a form of communication correctly and send video. That is unique and different. 2, definitely most sellers in a one-to-one environment are not using video on text messaging. And 3, most sellers' videos on email suck. And so do yours if you're a sales leader. Why? Look, I'm 45 and older, and we didn't grow up this way. We didn't grow up learning how to do this. We know cold calling. That's what we grew up learning. We knocked on doors out in canvassing. Well, that's what we learned. But you don't know what a good video should be and what it should look like. And that's what we're going to spend some time talking about today.
I love it. Let's talk about how to make them not suck. I love this acronym. Karti, talk us through this a little bit. Mario hit on a bunch of these points, but talk us through what this means when we say, like, let's get real. Like, what is this? What is this?
Yes. So videos are real, right? It actually helps you be really engaging with the prospects when you actually talk through the videos. So how do you expand on that? So what should a video consist of when you actually send it out? So we broke down into 4 important parts. One, being relevant. Why you? Why now? So Mario gave a best example on how do you connect through LinkedIn. The first intro message where you just wave on the Giphy saying you are there to help them with your services, etc. And why you now? That is also one important aspect of it. The second important aspect, which only videos can deliver, what Mario's quote again, the two senses, right? The visual as well as the audio, being emotionally engaging, asking those right compelling questions, asking those pain problems, asking those questions why they should be using you. All of those has to be within that video. The third most important one, okay, you're engaged with them. Now, what next for them? How do they engage back with you? That's where the actionable comes. Drop in good CTAs, like maybe a meeting link or maybe a page where they can get more information into a landing page, a custom landing page. Yes, that is what I call it as actionable. And lively, yes. Bring in your chair, like what Mario does often, right? Now you could see that. Now, what when you put all of these is what we call it as real framework. Now, talking about relevance, Mario, can you add on more to it with respect to your experience in how do you bring in that relevance within that 90 seconds of video we generally talk about the video length should be, right? So how do you cover all these 4 in those 90 seconds, which is what you are best at, right?
Yeah, so first off, good question, Karthi. And for prospecting videos, the recommendation is definitely 60 seconds or less. 60 seconds or less. And the reason for that is studies show that the engagement rate drops pretty significantly for anything between 1 and 2 minutes. You're roughly going to get about a 40% drop off. So pre 1 minute, you are going to get about 20% drop off. So that's 30 seconds to about 60 seconds, 20% drop off. However, if you're engaging, people will continue to watch that. And then 1 minute and beyond, you'll get about 40% drop off beyond the 1 minute marker. So definitely prospecting videos that 1 minute. But you know, one of the things you got to be thinking about is how do you bring in a buyer right from the get-go? Do me a favor, Richard, whoever's sharing, stop the screen. So I want everybody to see me in full screen. Stop the screen sharing. And this is super important because one of the biggest mistakes that we see sellers make when we're training an organization on how to do video is they send a video to a buyer, and right in front of their face on that nice thumbnail is that beautiful looking play button right there. And guess what? You can't even see them smiling. This play button sitting right there in front of their face, and sometimes blocking the eyes, the mouth, the whole face, a portion of the face. Now, most of the video technologies that are out there, you've got that center play button because that's where we're used to seeing the play button at because of YouTube, the second largest search engine in the world. All right. So what do? Well, guess what? Let's just pretend this is the center of my screen, my fist. This is the play button right here. So a very simple technique, so simple, yet most managers and directors and VPs, when they get that video message, never even think about it. Just have your seller do this. What did I do? All I'm doing is literally moving my body right outside, off-centered on the frame. And so when I start that wave, and you see that wave from that thumbnail, that GIF image you create on a video, it's like this. And within the first 1 second, I come right back into frame. And what that allows the end seller to do is it allows them to get that smile in. 3, 2, 1, and it says smile. And I've got that wave going on. So now they can see my pearly white teeth. They can see my face, because what buyers are looking for is, should I click on this image? If you send them this video with a big play button over that face, you can't see their eyes, you can't see their smile, you can't build trust. And let's face it, the reality is the moment that you and I see somebody, if we're meeting somebody new, we're walking in to go meet somebody, a candidate, whatever, within seconds, we are forming an opinion based upon just solely what we see. That's human nature. So if you can't see your sales rep on that video, dear God, please don't send the video, right? Off center them. And those are two, I think, specific techniques that sellers and leaders should be looking at is the length. Length does matter. And from the perspective of that opening, getting them to click, you want to make sure that you don't got that big play button sitting in front of their face.
I think, Mario, I think that tip right there was worth the price of admission for all of our attendees. That, I mean, literally, I've never thought about that in my entire life of where the play button is relative to my. I mean, there it is. There's your takeaway, folks. Drop the mic. No, I think that's.
You don't need to hire Ingresso for video sales training. It's done. I gave you everything.
We got
the whole
everything.
entire eight-week program is all there.
I love it. I love it. And Mario, we've actually got a question that kind of lines up to this point of video strategy. How many videos, right? And I think this is the context here is how many videos should I send before I start seeing results? I think what would be helpful is answering this more. How does it fit into a broader strategy of, let's say, prospecting? For example, how many videos are sent versus some of the other media that you were talking about? What are you saying kind of in general?
It's a really great question. And in fact, we have a phenomenal article on prospecting, and I'll send this out here to the attendees. I've just dropped it into the link. So click right there and go to that prospecting article. So I can't see who asked the question, but whoever asked that question, it's not a matter of how many videos should I send before I start seeing results. Rather, what you should do is how many am I doing the right videos that will create the results? Yeah. And so if you click on that article right there, it's our very, very deep, rich guide for sales leaders that is used based upon science and data from all the different sales engagement tool providers that are out there, that puts together cadences and programs that tells you what you should do and when you should be using video as an example. For example, video has the best success when sent as generally around the 5th step in your sales cadence process. Why? Well, what you're trying to do is no one's built up trust yet with you. No one's seen you engage with them. So if you look at our guide there, we identify a couple things that you should do prior to sending a video. Number one, you should engage with them socially. You should use email. You should use the phone as an example. You should have used the referral, by the way, the digital sales referral that we like to call it. That's step number one. Actually, I take that back. And then 2, 3, 4. So by the time that the video comes, the individual buyer now has some understanding of who you are and what you're about. You probably already pinged them on your LinkedIn profile and looked at their profile as an example. You may have even triggered the follow button so that it gets a notification into their box. That guide that we've produced will help you tee up all the things that you need to do prior to getting to the video. Now, once you get to that video, there's different ways to use video. For example, you might use a video as a LinkedIn welcome message. I get about a 50% click-through rate and open rate on video sent through a LinkedIn connection request. 50%. That's phenomenal. But it takes work to get them to accept that connection request. That's my point. So it's not a matter of how many should I send that's going to see the results. It's, are you doing the right things that will trigger the results? And I think that's an important differentiation there.
I think that's a great point that Mario made, that like, if you don't understand some of the key things that Mario's talking about, if you don't understand your pitch, how to talk to a persona, have a good message, have a compelling value that you're bringing, video's not the panacea that's going to solve all of those challenges. You still have to have those fundamentals nailed, whether it's in video, text, sales engagement tool, whatever it might be.
So I'll say this, and Richard, if you suck offline, you're going to suck online. If you suck at email, you'll suck at video. If you suck at phone calling, you'll suck at this too as well. So it's like crap in is still crap out. Yeah. The key is understand, Karcha uses the acronym REAL. At Ingresso, we use the acronym PVC. It's the PVC sales methodology. You can look that up as well. But P is for personalization. V is for bring value. And C is for the right call to action. And by the way, dear Lord, I know you want to have that meeting, Mr. or Mrs. Sales Rep that's out there. And of course, the leaders, you want them to book that meeting. I know you do. But the call to action might not be book a 30-minute meeting starting tomorrow. Okay? It might be ask a question to solicit engagement. That might be the idea there to be able to leverage getting a buyer to reply. And so understand what the right call to action is for the right circumstance.
Those are my favorite LinkedIn messages. Hey, well, thanks for connecting on LinkedIn. Buy my stuff. It's not even relevant to you, but you should buy my stuff. Let's take a meeting and talk about it. It's like, what's going on here?
Exactly.
So adding on to Mario, there is the other part of it that I thought I would cover here. There is some data we started collecting to understand why some of the sellers are able to do better with videos, why some of them are not able to. Adding on to whatever reasons what Mario said, one of the reasons we saw was how are they getting comfortable with the videos. So we saw people who have sent lesser than 20 videos got less than 40% engagement. But people who have sent more than 20 videos got 80% of engagement.
Mm.
So basically you get accustomed to creating more videos because video is another medium. It takes some amount of time for you to get accustomed to seeing yourself on the video, talking, and as if you're talking to the prospect. That is most important one. That's why we say it lively. So those things add up to it. So it takes some amount of time. See, that is where these kind of trainings helps you understand how to go about it in a methodical way. Okay, you can't expect immediate results, but yes, you will be able to achieve those ROI as you progress one step at a time.
Well, and I think that's an important part too, right? Like it makes a ton of sense, Mario. I'm with you. Like I started in sales cold calling. Like video is still super new to me. What are some things? And Karti and Mario, I want you both to weigh in on this, but Karti, maybe you can talk for a few seconds on this. How do I get my team more comfortable doing this? I mean, we've tried to do this a few times at Modern Sales, and it's tricky. It's really a different experience if you've never recorded yourself.
Yes. So that is this understanding or that carriage everybody is having is, oh, I'm not for videos. You need a professional to create some videos. Of course, you need professional videos to be sent across to your prospects, make them believe you are here, doing all those immediate work to understand what they want, all of those. But creating a video is going to be one click away. So there are so many tools enables you through Chrome extension or even within your Chrome browser, you can create some videos and send it across. The point here to be understood is how do you practice it? So in Hippo Video, we have created an option for you to create some practice videos, share it with your peers, share it with your managers, understand how it is going. Are you doing the pitch? Are you looking eye into the camera? All of those basic hygiene things. I think Mario will add more to those hygiene things, right? Those things makes you comfortable. And when you send it across, it looks really professional. Okay. The professional is how you actually approach it with more confidence. That's why we brought in that lively. Be yourself as if you're talking to that prospect in person. That actually enables you to create a lot more better videos.
And I think with that too, right? There's a comfort level in getting some of that more engaging stuff, right? Where maybe I don't need a video studio to record a conversation where I'm introducing myself and my product to Mario, but making sure it's done professionally. I'm carrying myself in a professional, engaging tone matters. I get that. It's a great point.
One thing I'll just make a comment on, and that is we get so consumed with the is it perfect? It has to be perfect. And I think sales leaders, as you're talking to your sales reps, look, the reality is do your sellers turn off their video when they're doing a synchronous conversation with a buyer? No. Whatever the background is that they have is whatever the buyer is seeing. So don't be worried about that, because guess what? You're not going to change your background if you're talking on a synchronous conversation. But if you use virtual green screens, awesome. Guess what? With tools like Hippo, you get to use a virtual green screen as well, right? And so the key here is preparing scripts. And that's one of the things that we do when we launch a sales training program. There's 16 different use cases that we have identified, and we really focus in on 3 specific use cases that we can prepare scripts for. One of them being a prospecting video, right? So we actually work with the enablement, operations, and marketing team, and we prepare these scripts. Well, why do we prepare scripts? Well, first off, we want to make sure that they're under a minute. Secondly, that they have the P for personalization, the V for value, with the right call to action, so that you can create the results you want to get right out of the gate. That's super important. And On top of that, what you also want to make sure that is happening is that you can actually help coach individuals' modulation, facial expressions, gestures, all from the same exact script. And these things like commas. Well, when we were back in college and elementary school, commas made a difference. Your teacher always told you, well, pause on that comma and then keep going, right? And those are the types of things that make a difference on a video as well. So those are super important when you prepare the right script, and then you can use teleprompter features, which are available in these platforms. And it's phenomenal. If you use the teleprompter on mobile or on desktop with like Hippo, you got it right there, and you're basically reading it, and it's right there where your eyes are at from the camera perspective. And especially on the phone, it looks like you're looking directly at the camera, so nobody can tell any difference. And that's what makes those videos much more polished. Last thing on this particular issue, especially with people's fear. A lot of people have fears, and let's just, I'm just gonna call it out because we do this with thousands of sellers through our training program. And these are the things that pop up. I'm scared because I'm ugly, I'm fat, I have a bald head, I have a receding hairline, I have a pimple. Okay, so let's just say that you are any one of those things. I'm not saying you are, please don't think I am, but let's just say you are any one of those things that you think about yourself. Does that mean when you walk into a live networking event where you're going to shake people's hands, that you walk in with a bag over your head? No, nobody's walking in with a bag over your head. So if you think you're fat, ugly, receding hairline, balding, and or you've got a pimple, you're still going to walk around and meet people without the bag on your head. So don't put a bag over your head and not do video because you feel those things about yourself. And you've got to look at your camera on your desktop or on your mobile device. That is John, Susie, Mary, Billy, Bobby, whoever it is that you're talking to. That is that person. And if you can think of your camera hole as John, Billy, Barry, Billy, Bobby, Susie, whoever it is, then it becomes so much more easy when recording videos.
I think that Mario just gave everybody some life lessons there too, in addition to the video thing. But we say this all the time on Modern Sales, like being in sales, being an AE, being an SDR, there's a lot of psychology that goes into that, and being in the right mindset is going to be, it's back to what Mario was saying before about whether it's you're cadencing, you're cold calling, you're writing emails, you're pitching. Being in that right mindset is great. And my advice for anybody who's balding, just remember, balding, not a choice. Being bald, definitely a choice. Highly recommend it. Folks,
it's in, balding is in.
This is it, man. It's great. A couple questions coming in here, and I'm just gonna kind of fire these off pretty quick. Mario, I mean, this is something that you're working into a lot of the processes. Is it time consuming to kind of get videos and start working on these every day? Like, how do you actually make this something that people are comfortable with and not have it be all consuming?
So I'm going to actually combine that question with another one that was asked. It's a 2-for-1. And one of the other questions that someone asked is, why do we need a tool? Can't I just use my mobile phone and start recording some videos to be able to send it out? So in answer to the question there, and the all time consuming is, that's exactly why we utilize platforms like Hippo, because what you can do is you could create one video, and what you could do is we have this thing called video sandwiching, and you create a video and it's going to be whatever the message is, but then you want to do an intro video, and you can take that intro video that says, hey, Richard, hey, Karthi, and then you smash those two things together, and guess what? It goes right into your message. So it helps you streamline that process of expediting a video creation. So you can, take that time on that one video to be able to create and then smash on an intro and an outro together as an example. And you cannot do that with things like your mobile device. The other thing I mentioned are the things like the teleprompter as well. That's pretty powerful to be able to have that teleprompter. Now I'm doing live speaking, so I'm looking straight at you from the camera perspective. But most sellers, when they're doing their video, they're going to do this. Now I'm not looking at the camera anymore, and I'm going to read the screen where it says, getting reps comfortable making videos. Most important, perfect your intros. And you see them look back up, right? Now I'm being very emphatic about that. So with that in mind, that's very difficult for a lot of folks to do. And of course, you can definitely go on the cheap, and you can definitely use your video camera on your device, and you can add on an overlay, teleprompter, and you can makeshift all of this. But if you're trying to do it at scale, that's one of the big elements there. And I forgot what the other part of the question was, Richard.
Maybe I'll add on one more part.
Yeah.
So that is about tracking and understanding. Like when you get delivered these videos from our platform, we track whether the prospect has opened, has he watched multiple times, whether she has shared it to other person, how many times, from where they have been seeing. And as well, you can embed these videos into your custom landing page where you can put your other collaterals as well. So that is one important statement I would want Mario to talk about, jumping between your video and an email. Over to you, Mario.
Well, the analytics are amazingly powerful. Do you know how many deals we've closed as a result of knowing who all the buying influencers are? Here's what we do. We send one video message to, let's just say we sell to chief sales officers, VPs of sales, and CROs, right? So we send it to the VP of sales, and inevitably that VP of sales is going to send it to the sales enablement leader or the marketing leader, or you fill in the blank. So what we do is we turn on that tracking capability so that we know that if I send it to Karthi, he opens it, it's going to require his email. But if he sends it to Richard, now Richard is going to open that. He's going to put in his email, and guess who I just found out who else is on the buying committee. I cannot tell you the number of large deals that we have won as a result of mapping out all the buying influencers of people that we did not know were involved in that process. And that is powerful on those analytics. And you absolutely want to leverage those types of things. And in addition, of course, you have the ability to scale things up. So I don't recommend this, but I do recommend a high level of personalization on video that has the best results. But if you were to run a campaign and use a video that is generic and, you know, do things like add in their name with the token inside the video, that's also another reason that that you can utilize video tools as well.
Yeah.
I
I was going to say the important part here is you can also just send emails too from like Gmail. Like you don't have to use a sales engagement tool for it. So I think for the attendee that asked that question, it's kind of the same, just like you would use a sales engagement tool because of the data it provides. It's an important way to think about this too. This isn't, as we said at the beginning, video doesn't live over here and then the rest of your sales stack is over here. It's just part of it. So just like you'd have data on Connect and all of that, same kind of idea from on the video tooling side relative to rolling your own. Sorry to cut you off there, Karthi.
Yeah, two more points I thought I would add. One is this custom landing pages, right? So when you send as an video that you download from your mobile and attach it and send it, that is this problem of spam, or it's being stuck in a virus or whatever it is. Or assume you send it through a link. Now the prospect clicks on the link and there you talk about your product and you say you have attached one more collateral to the email, please go back to the email, right? That's basically dropping off the customer then and there. But instead, what we provide is custom landing pages. The video goes as a GIF inside the email. When they click on it, it opens a custom landing page with all your brandings, all your collaterals at the same place. And in the video, all you have to say is, hey, look for this collateral that I will put down below, or maybe the invoice, or maybe the quote that you would like to go through. And you can embed the chat inside the landing page itself and track whether the prospect is actually engaging. So that's the kind of difference that we can bring as a platform. That is what I thought I would add on.
That's a really good point, Karthi, on the custom landing pages, and that's one of the reasons why I don't like working with other video sales acceleration tools, because of the fact that you cannot put content on the landing page. And rule of marketing 101 is never take a buyer off your page. So bring that content, that value directly there to that landing page with the video. The other thing that I want to go back to, Richard, is Leslie asked a really good question. I talked about sandwiching videos together, so they're smashing a video together. And someone asked a question about the email open rate for a cold email to a prospect. And I actually had to go back and pull that data. So I have the answer to that when you're ready for that question. But Leslie said, you know, if you're smashing together a video and you're wearing different clothes and maybe your hair is slightly different, doesn't that seem kind of awkward? So the answer to that question is it could. And that's one of the benefits of being able to create a video that says, hey, I've got, hey, Richard, I'm going to say, pretend Richard's my buyer. Hey, Richard, Mario Martinez here. I wanted you to take a look at this particular in piece of information I found out for you. So you might be kind of teeing that up. That's one way to do it. And then now the second video plays automatically. Or if you look at that prospecting guide that I sent you, what you'll glean from that is in our sales motion, what we have is we have what's called queues. So basically, when a sales rep walks in their queue for today, they're going to work on all cold calls. Then they're going to work on all emails. Then they're going to work on all videos. So that's set up in our side of our queues. So when a seller goes and creates the video for 100 particular individuals, they'll create that one central video that maybe has a centralized message. And then they go through and they record, hey, John, hey, Susie, hey, Mary, so that they actually have that same type of clothing. So that helps to solve that particular problem. And it works really, really effectively when you've got a system, a cadence, and a model to follow. And hopefully that definitive guide helps you with that.
It's again, you're not gonna figure out your prospecting process using video. It's important to have that as we work it in here. I've got one more thing I want us to hit on, and then we can take some of these questions here. One of the things that we had brainstormed on in our prep was just some ways for folks to get started here. So if we pop over to the next slide, folks, this is a great way for you to start to think about, like, where should I use these videos? There's a bunch here. There's a bunch of other ones out there, but the one that really caught my eye was the personalized meeting invitation. I think this is something where there's some interesting things that you can do here. But Mario, I'd love for you to talk just a little bit about a few of these, and then Karthi, same thing, and then we'll get to some questions as we wrap here. But Mario, let's kick it off with you here. Can you walk through an example of kind of that personalized meeting invite and how you would train folks to use that as part of your process?
So this is actually a really good one. So one of the things that you can do is once you've set up a meeting, you've booked a meeting already with a potential buyer, and you're going to send them a quick, less than 1 minute video that identifies what the agenda will be and that you're looking forward to talking to them. In addition, one of the things that you can do as well, as Karthi mentioned, when you're creating that video or your sellers are creating that video, you can say, now directly below are 2 items that you can take a look at before our first discussion. And it might be a great blog article. For example, we've got one on 5 things you need to do before you get started with video, right, for sales. Great. So now if we're going to talk about that, and that's the topic of conversation that we discussed in our first call, then I would send a blog article, a white paper, an ebook, a webinar, whatever it might be that they could take advantage of. So that's one example. Some other things that you can certainly do is we actually work with our clients to develop an out of office email message. And boy, are those super powerful. And the hit rate on those things and the engagement rate is through the roof. We're talking about 70% click rate. So what you do is you actually can create an out of office message when you're out of the office and buyers are sending you messaging or reaching out to you. And you provide a generic message that applies to your buying community, and you provide assets inside there. Now, the modern selling way, if you would, is to lead with value, give to get, right? Give to get. So you create a out of office video message. And when you do that out of office video message, you have a bunch of assets inside there. My email will be thrown into the chat, mario@vengresso.com. You're welcome to email me, and I have mine turned on literally right now because I'm inside this session. And you're welcome to take a look at what does an out of office video message look like. But that's powerful, and the engagement rate is pretty high through the roof. And there's a whole slew of others, but especially in a virtual environment, you want to be answering questions with an email. So you can explain something, you can do a quick demo or a feature on something. You can proactively say, I'm going to follow up with you. And every call that our sellers do, they proactively follow up with all the things that they talked about. And it's through the form of a video with all the content on that particular sales landing page that Karthi was talking about as well. So those are some different use cases of where you can use it at. We've identified, like I said, 16 different use cases. And even something very creative, some of our sellers are creating newsletter roll-ups. So at the end of the month, they're actually saying, hey, I wanted to send out this video message to you and talk to you all about the things that are happening not only at the company level, but within their organization. Maybe it's they're doing an implementation as a summarization, and that works really well with customer success as well. So those are a few things, Richard.
That's a lot. I mean, one of those are worthy of a session right there. The video out of office. I mean, that sounds like that sounds also fun too, right? Some of this sounds a little bit more like we're like wearing a Hawaiian shirt headed to Maui. Like, hey, sorry I can't catch you, but I'm on my way there. Karthi, we've only got a little bit of time left here, so anything here that you really want to weigh in on before we jump into some live questions and get some takeaways?
Yeah. So before that, I will add one more use case, which our customers find it more useful apart from this personalized meeting invite is, assume you do a demo over Zoom, you can record it, then you take some excerpts of those demo and stitch them as one video using our platform and send it across as a follow-up. Or before the next meeting happens, you send this as a setting an agenda. That has given a big click-through rate, and people actually come to the meeting for sure. So that really helps, that I would say. Now, talking about the key takeaway, as I would say from Hippo Videos end is, videos are here. Videos are here to stay, and we are seeing that being adopted by Fortune 500 to any small startups as well. But the key here is, how do you put them into use, the proper use? Like what Mario said, to quote, like, how do you use it in prospecting? How do you use it in your engagement? How do you use it in your customer success? Each has a way to do it. So if you could understand that and employ it in the right direction, you are bound to see a good ROI. As I mentioned earlier, 3x booking meeting rates or keeping rates going up by 2x, all of these are possible. So believe in videos, and the platforms are there.
A whole heck of a lot covered here today. That was awesome. Mario, I know you said you pulled some data, so I want to address that one real quick if you've got it, and then just a takeaway afterwards, and we'll bring us home, because we're at time, gentlemen. That went fast.
Wow, sorry, I know I talk a lot, so I'll be fast on this one. The question was, what is the play rate for a cold email to a prospect, or done in step 1 of the sales process? So in answer to your question, the data came, and this is about using about 200 million points of references for sending videos by different days. So if you look at a 60-day cadence with about 20 different messages, what was shown here through this study that was done by SalesLoft, by the way, was that the video reply rate was about 2 to 3 percentage points worse when sent on between day 1 and day 5, and got about 3 percentage points, or the highest, about 10%, roughly about 10% reply rate when sent on day 5. So what was the difference? The difference is don't open your prospecting cadence with a video. Use the other channels first to warm that buyer up. That would incentivize them to say, oh, I saw them see me. I saw them look at my profile on LinkedIn and they clicked on yours, sellers. You heard their name because it was an audible voicemail. You saw their name because it came across as email, and maybe you engage with them through social media and liked, commented, or reshared their posts and tagged them. So when those things happen first, your engagement rate is driven up. When it's sent roughly on the best day is about day 5 of a 20-step cadence program across 60 days.
Mario, great data here, great perspective throughout the panel discussion. And gentlemen, I know you're both super busy. This was awesome. I had a lot of fun in this conversation, learned a ton, and I think Mario and Karthi, love having you here. You'll certainly be welcome back anytime ever. But on behalf of Elizabeth and the team behind the scenes, everybody in the community and those watching in the future on YouTube, wanted to thank you both and wish you both a wonderful rest of your day today. Stay safe, and thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care, y'all.